this review, I wanted to explore a little more into what happened in 1987 and 88 with the releases of Dream Warriors and The Dream Master. If you saw my review of Dream Warriors, you know I credit the large success of this film based on the success of the aforementioned. The Dream Warriors won the hearts of the fans back. It had, in my opinion, the most imaginative kills of the series. The last surviving children of Elm Street band together with special powers to fight Freddy. It was insane, and this film, The Dream Master, followed in the wake of that film. I also blame the odd direction in Nightmare 2, Freddy's Revenge, for people not turning out to see Dream Warriors. The Dream Master was the top-grossing horror movie of that year, and the highest ever for New Line Cinema. They grossed $49 million that year. Now you might say that's not very much, but to put it in perspective, including rentals and adjusting for inflation, the film would gross approximately $126 million today. Now that's a shitload of cash for a slasher. There are some interesting possibilities with this film, as Wes Craven always seems to be putting something new on the table. There is an idea of time travel through dreams and thoughts, but the producers thought it was too complicated a concept for this film. So basically they're saying we're too dumb. I came across a couple of interesting things while doing research from this film. Ellie Cornell, who played Rachel in Halloween 4 and 5, actually auditioned for the role, but she was turned down. And I always wondered for the longest time, why the hell wasn't Patricia Arquette in the movie? It turns out she was pregnant. Anyway, enough chat, and let's take a look at A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. The opening has a rocking song. I'm not sure what it is. Running from this nightmare by someone, I don't know. It opens with someone using chalk on a sidewalk, kind of a common theme throughout the series. We have a new actress playing Kristen, Tuesday Night. Yeah, her name is Tuesday Night. Who the fuck names their kid that? Hi Tuesday Night, I'm Friday morning, glad to meet ya. Ridiculous. Kristen is back in a nightmare, the old Elm Street house. And whoa, she gets blown back into the basement by, I guess, lightning or something. It's the old boiler room and she panics, dragging Kincaid and Joey back into the dream, just like old times. Kincaid's dog bites her, and I've never really understood why. It wasn't Freddy, so never mind. We meet Alice's dad, basically a drunk. We meet Alice and Rick. Rick dates Kristen. We meet Debbie, and we see Dan. Alice daydreams a lot, and she has the major hots for this guy. Then we meet Sheila, and I gotta be honest, I remember just rooting for her to die. Kincaid and Joey appear like Batman and Robin. They're kind of pissed about being pulled into the dream. We see Freddy's claws on the lockers in some dream, or I don't really know, it kind of confuses me. Rick is the Karate Kid in this. Alice's dad is giving her a hard time about dinner being shit, and she spaces again. It's done well, and you aren't sure when they're doing it, so you kind of go along for the ride. Kincaid suddenly finds himself in the junkyard in his dream. His dog does this insane fire piss thing, and Freddy rises from the grave. Awesome watching those bones come together. Welcome back, Freddy. The chase is on in the junkyard for Kincaid. He ambushes Freddy with a car. Freddy comes back strong and takes out Kincaid. I hated that though, because I liked Kincaid. We see Joey staring at some girl on a poster. The bed starts shaking and, oh yeah, check it out. I sleep on a couch. I wish I slept on a bed like that. Freddy pops out and drowns Joey. Rick shows Alice some karate moves. It's kind of funny, not much to say about it. Joey's mom finds him, somehow in the waterbed. How that makes sense, I have no idea. Alice tells Kristen one thing about dreams, and Kristen dubs her an expert. I thought that kind of odd. The diner that Alex works at is actually called Craven. It's a tribute to Wes Craven. Rick tells Dan about Freddy. Kristen's mom drugs her with some sleeping pills. Kristen's pissed, but how strong are these pills? It's like she's been hit with an elephant tranquilizer. Anyway, off she goes to sleep and she wakes up on a beach. Freddy's glove does this shark thing, then she falls into quicksand or something like it. Anyway, she's back in the boiler room with Freddy. Freddy coaxes Kristen into getting Alice into her dream. Kristen gets tossed into the boiler, and that's the last of the Elm Street kids. Alice gets Kristen's powers. Rick and Alice find her burning in her room. Brutal. Alice almost lights up a smoke and says, I don't smoke. Okay, fine, but where'd you get the smokes from? Like, wouldn't you have asked yourself that question then? Anyway, Alice and Sheila fall asleep in class, and Alice knows what's up. Freddy attacks Sheila with her machine in the dream. Freddy then appears out of nowhere and kisses Sheila, slowly inhaling her. An odd kill, but creative. It's kind of neat that Alice gets people's powers when they die. Dan shows up at the diner to chat with Alice. I guess he kind of likes her. She explains in more depth what's going on to Dan. Rick falls asleep on the john, and cheerleaders come in. Then Rick's in an elevator, then a dojo. It's kind of hard to keep up with these sequences. Freddy's invisible and beating up Rick. This is the worst fighting I've ever seen. Okay, Freddy, just take him out. Then Alice knows he's dead and screams, and I'm still a little perplexed as to why the windows blow out. Alice attends her brother's funeral. They all agree to meet at 8 o'clock to make a plan to beat Freddy. Alice, with the nunchucks, is a little ridiculous, and it's obviously not her from the back, but whatever. Okay, so Alice goes to meet Dan, and she runs past the diner. Note, take a look at the color of her shoes. She's asleep, by the way. Then she's in a theater, then it's her diner on the screen. The sequences are creative, but they're all over the place. Then she gets sucked into the screen by, I'm assuming, Freddy. Then she's at the diner, and sees Freddy with her. He eats one of the kids in meatball form, and it's actually kind of gross. All this was to get Debbie pulled in. She runs around the diner, shoes white again. I'm actually going somewhere with this. They are trying to get to Debbie's, but Freddy has them running around in circles, over and over and over again. Debbie slowly turns into a cockroach over a period of time. It's another pretty gross scene, and a little comical as well. Freddy squashes Debbie in the box. And there, her shoes are now boots. How'd that happen? Then they try to run him over in the dream, which doesn't go over very well. Dan's fucked up and has to head to the hospital. Alice takes off from the hospital to prep for a fight with Freddy. Then Dan goes into surgery. Alice has a short montage and gears up with the strengths of her combined dead friends and brother. Dan's in trouble and Alice jumps into the rescue. They tumble around some pipe and pop out into a church. Dan gets taken out of the dream by doctors, so it's one-on-one. And Alice and Freddy actually put on a decent fight. Alice burns a hole in him with some kind of gadget. I guess that makes sense. Freddy sees his reflection and a bunch of hands come out of his body. I thought they could have come up with something a little bit better to kill him. Really weird watching all those hands come out of his body. So Freddy dies and all the souls are free. The ending is Alice and Dan, I guess a couple now. You see a reflection of Freddy in the water, and roll credits. The Dream Master. So the movie's not bad, but is it near the top in the series? I don't think so. It was alright, the kills were fine, and pretty creative, although it seemed like at times they were trying a little bit too hard. But I'd rather that than no effort at all. The fact that Tuesday Night played Kristen, I think made it easier for the transition from the awesome cast of the Dream Warriors to this cast. The film was really in two parts, the Last of the Elm Street Kids being part 1, and then the transition to the new Prey being part 2. The cast in this played their part fine, although I'm not sure if I like or dislike Rick's character. I go back and forth. Robert Englund played Freddy well again, so no issues there. It was an okay movie, certainly better than 5 and 6, where Freddy gets a little off the wall and a little hammy for me. I'd give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. This is Pat for Horror Movie Review Guy, sub for new posts, and thanks for watching.